The pink paper slapped against my screen door at 7:12 a.m. Like a bad joke nobody asked for. Notice to vacate 48 hours. I own the house free and clear, paid cash 3 years earlier. No mortgage, just me, my coffee, and the deed locked in my safe. Yet there she stood in my driveway, Vanessa Hargrove, Emerald Grove Estates HOA president, flanked by 2 rented security goons in cheap polo shirts, leopard print cardigan flapping in the Texas breeze like a battle flag. Standards must be upheld, Mr. Caldwell, she purred, voice dripping with fake concern loud enough for every neighbor to hear. And you, sir, have clearly fallen short. I didn't yell. I didn't even stand up from my porch chair. I just took a slow sip of coffee, smiled, and thought, lady, you have no idea whose house you're actually standing in front of. Because what Vanessa didn't know, what she was about to learn in the most public, humiliating way possible, was going to burn her little suburban kingdom to the ground. Let me back up before you start screaming at your screen. My name's Ryan Caldwell. 44, ex-Navy SEAL, 2 deployments that left me with a bad knee and a pension that actually paid the bills. I never planned on becoming a landlord empire builder. I just wanted peace after the sand and the noise. 3 years ago I bought my first place here in Emerald Grove Estates, a cookie-cutter 4-bedroom outside Austin. Quiet streets, good schools, the kind of place where people wave and pretend everything's perfect. The HOA fee was $95 a month. Lawn service for common areas, a pool nobody used, and a clubhouse that smelled like burnt coffee and broken dreams. Sounded harmless. Famous last words. I fell in love with fixing things. Weekends at Home Depot, YouTube tutorials at 2 a.m., turning that beige builder special into something that actually felt like mine. Then I noticed the foreclosures and estate sales popping up all over the neighborhood. People losing jobs, divorces, the usual American plot twists. I bought 6 more properties through a boring little LLC called Summit Ridge Holdings. All cash, all rented to good people. A nurse, a teacher, a retired couple, a young family trying to get ahead. I kept it quiet. No signs, no drama. Tenants paid on time, houses stayed immaculate, and I stayed invisible. Or so I thought. The previous HOA president was a tired accountant who rubber-stamped everything and moved to Florida. When he left, nobody wanted the job except Vanessa Hargrove. She campaigned like it was the damn presidency. Door hangers, neighborhood Facebook rants about restoring pride and property values. One with 19 votes. 19. That should have been the first red flag waving in the wind. Our first meeting happened on a blistering July afternoon. I was replacing a mailbox post that had rotted out when I heard heels clicking up the driveway like tiny judgment hammers. Vanessa appeared in full armor. Blonde helmet hair catching the sun, coral pink nails, leopard print cardigan despite 102-degree heat, and that perfume, something floral and expensive that made my eyes water. You must be Ryan, she said, extending a hand like we were at a gala. Vanessa Hargrove, your new HOA president. Just wanted to welcome you properly and remind you of our community standards. Her smile never reached her eyes. They were busy scanning my 5-year-old F-150 parked in the driveway like it had personally insulted her ancestors. That truck, she continued, tapping her clipboard. It's commercial, correct? We have rules about that sort of thing. I kept my voice even. Personal use only, ma'am. 3/4 ton, no signage, no logos. She made a little note anyway. We'll see. The board has discretionary authority after all. Discretionary authority. 2 words that should come with a warning label and a therapist on speed dial. 2 weeks later the first certified letter arrived. Violation, commercial vehicle and driveway, CC and RS section 4.7b. 10 days to cure or $50 per day fine. I read the CC and RS twice. Literally the same document every owner gets at closing and nobody reads. My truck was under the weight limit and had 0 commercial markings. I sent photos, specs, a polite email citing the exact paragraph. Her reply came the next morning for cold sentences. The board has reviewed and upholds the violation. Discretionary authority applies. 8 days remaining. Translation: rules are rules until they're not, and right now they're not for you. I showed up at the next board meeting expecting democracy. Instead, I found Vanessa alone behind a folding table, plastic gavel still sporting the Amazon sticker. Treasurer and secretary positions remain vacant, she smiled. I'm handling all board functions until we recruit volunteers. One woman. Judge, jury, executioner, and apparently interior decorator for the clubhouse. I presented my evidence in 3 calm minutes. She didn't even glance at the photos. Violation stands. Next item. Through the window I could see her best friend's driveway 2 streets over. Identical Silverado, same weight class, 0 ticket. When I politely asked why, her smile could have sliced glass. Mrs. Ellison is a cooperative resident who understands community standards. Translation: you're not one of us. Over the next 6 weeks the pink notices arrived like clockwork from hell. Grass measured at 2.8 inches, 3-inch maximum. Trash can visible for 11 minutes past the sacred 7 p.m. Curfew. Front door painted the exact builder beige from 2009, now suddenly unapproved. American flag on my porch exceeding size regulations. Garden gnome 11.4 inches tall when the limit was 12. Each one threatened $50 a day. By October her phantom calculator had me at $1,200 in fines. My mail lady started leaving sympathetic notes. Hang in there, hon. I hired a solo attorney named Mia Torres who specialized in HOA warfare. Sharp. $250 an hour. Worth every penny. She sent a cease and desist citing selective enforcement and harassment. Vanessa's response came from the HOA's downtown law firm on thick letterhead. Meritless allegations. The board reserves all rights. Further correspondence will be met with legal action. Then another violation for my mailbox post being faded and unsightly. It was pressure-treated cedar that had weathered to that beautiful silver gray color landscapers charge extra for. The fine counter hit $2,400. Mia warned me litigation was expensive and slow. I remembered my SEAL training. Bullies don't stop when you comply. They stop when you make compliance hurt more than resistance. That's when I remembered Texas Property Code Section 209.005. Owners can demand HOA records with 10 days written notice. Refusal triggers penalties, court orders, even personal liability for board members. I sent the certified request for 3 years of minutes, financials, contracts, and violation logs. Vanessa's reply on day 9. Documents undergoing audit, unavailable for 60 to 90 days. Translation: I'm hiding something big. I posted in the neighborhood Facebook group. Anyone else getting hit with HOA violations lately? 43 comments in 2 hours. Mrs. Alvarez, 72 and sweet as pie, messaged privately. She cited my native wildflowers as weeds. Said her cousin's flipping company might be interested if I wanted to sell. Another family got dinged for a kid's basketball hoop they only used on weekends, while Vanessa's inner circle parked RVs for months with dead lawns and 0 tickets. The pattern was crystal clear. This wasn't about standards. This was a shakedown operation. Harass until people sold cheap, steer deals to connected buyers, pocket kickbacks. Cold fury settled in my chest like it used to before missions. Game on. Late November the real pink bomb dropped, the eviction notice I opened with. Not a fine this time. Material breach due to unpaid fines totaling $1,800. Vacate 428, Oak Hollow Lane within 48 hours or face forcible removal. It even had a fake county seal sheet clearly downloaded. Referenced a statute that covered liens, not evictions. HOAs can lien properties. They can't just evict owners with security guards and a smile. But the paper looked official enough to terrify anyone who didn't know better. Vanessa stood in my driveway, security goons shifting uncomfortably. I'm sure this is just a misunderstanding, she said, voice syrupy. But the lawyers will sort it out. Perhaps you should start packing. I took another sip of coffee, let the silence stretch until her smile cracked. I'll take it under advisement, Vanessa. Have a lovely day. I closed the door and watched her stand there, mouth open like a landed fish, before she click-clacked away in those ridiculous heels. First call Mia. Photo incoming. Tell me that's not what I think it is. Her laugh was dark. This is straight-up fraud, Ryan. Unauthorized practice of law. We can file criminal charges today. Not yet, I said. I want to see how deep she'll dig her own grave. Second move. I posted the fake notice in the Facebook group with 0 comment. Anyone else getting these? Comments exploded. 12 other families shared similar stories. Vanessa's allies called me a troublemaker hurting property values, but the rest started asking dangerous questions. That night I pulled my old records request again. Still no response, way past the legal deadline. Time to go public record hunting. Texas requires HOAs to file certain tax forms that are searchable. I found Emerald Grove's 1120H filings in 15 minutes. Dues collected. Roughly $160,000 over 2 years. Landscaping expenses claimed. $98,000. I called the actual landscaping company listed on the checks. Emerald Grove? Yeah, we do their common areas for $32,000 a year. Same contract since 2021. 98 claimed, 32 actual. $66,000 missing in action. I finally received the audited records after Mia threatened suit. Every landscaping check was made out to a shell company. Grove Property Management LLC. Registered agent. Marcus Hargrove. Vanessa's brother. I sat in my dark kitchen, laptop glowing, coffee gone cold, and laughed once, short, sharp, the kind of laugh that comes right before you end someone. My phone buzzed. A retired electrician neighbor named Big Mike. Check the books, man. Something stinks. Another text from Mrs. Alvarez. She's pushing a 40% dues increase to cover legal fees from troublemakers. Translation you. I open my property folder. 7 deeds, all under Summit Ridge Holdings. One of them, 317 Cypress Circle, the exact address of Vanessa Hargrove's owned home. She didn't own it. She rented it. Month to month after the initial lease, 2 months behind on rent. My property manager had been lenient, not knowing the drama. I called him. Send the standard 10-day pay or quit notice to 317 Cypress. If no payment, file the eviction. You sure? Holidays are coming. Business is business. Vanessa wanted to play eviction games with fake papers and intimidation. Fine. I'd show her what a real legal ironclad eviction looked like, served by an actual sheriff, filed in actual court, with her name on the plaintiff line. The emergency meeting notice hit mailboxes 48 hours before the date. Legal minimum. Vanessa also mailed glossy flyers on thick cardstock, accusing absentee investors of destroying the neighborhood. My truck was featured with an unflattering angle, and the caption "Commercial Eyesore." She'd spent HOA money on a smear campaign. The neighborhood split. Her book club mafia versus everyone she'd bullied. I stayed quiet publicly. Privately, I invited Big Mike, Mrs. Alvarez, and 2 other victims to my kitchen. Spread the deeds across the table like battle plans. I own 7 houses here. Nobody knew. That's 5% of the neighborhood, 5 votes. Texas law lets any owner demand a special recall election with 10% petition. I've got 17 signatures already. Mrs. Alvarez picked up the Cypress Circle deed. Her eyes went wide. Vanessa rents this one? I nodded. 2 months behind. And she's been running HOA business out of the dining room. Meetings, records, everything. Clear lease violation. Big Mike's grin was slow and dangerous. When do we drop the hammer? After the emergency meeting. Let her think she's winning. The night before the meeting, Vanessa sent a final email blast. Tomorrow we vote to protect our community. I replied all with 3 words. See you there. Her book club group text leaked to me 30 minutes later. He won't show. Cowards never do. I set my alarm for 6:30 a.m., printed 3 copies of the financial summary, and slept like a man who already knew how the movie ended. December 14th, 7 p.m. The clubhouse smelled like stale coffee and desperation. 89 residents crammed into a room built for 40. The highest turnout in Emerald Grove history. Vanessa sat at the head table in a navy blazer, gavel ready, smile locked in place. Her crew filled the front rows. I took a seat in the back. Her eyes flicked to me, surprise flashing before the mask snapped back. She banged the gavel. First order, vote to raise dues 40% to cover legal costs caused by certain individuals. Big Mike stood. Point of order. Where's the budget breakdown? Vanessa's answer was smooth as oil. Confidential attorney-client privilege. I rose slowly, laptop in hand. Actually, under Texas Property Code 209.005, those records belong to the members. I connected to the TV and the first slide hit like a grenade. Check images showing payments to Grove Property Management. $98,000 claimed, $32,000 actual. Next slide. Business registration, Marcus Hargrove, registered agent. Vanessa's brother. Gasps rippled. Phones came out recording. I moved to table the dues increase and demand an independent audit, I said. Voice vote passed overwhelmingly. Vanessa's face flushed crimson. Fine. But the real issue is absentee investors like Mr. Caldwell who don't even live in half their properties. We should ban rentals entirely. I stayed calm. I do own rentals, 7 of them. All well-maintained, rented to teachers, nurses, families. 0 complaints. I pulled up the GIS map, highlighted my properties. Each gets 1 vote. That's 7 votes in any board matter. Which is why I'm calling a special recall election. I have the 10% petition, 17 signatures right here. I handed the stack to Vanessa. The color drained from her face so fast I thought she'd faint. You can't. It's the members' board, Vanessa. And you violated your fiduciary duty. The room erupted in applause as she grabbed her purse and stormed out, heels hammering the linoleum like retreating gunfire. But I hadn't played my final card yet. The next 3 weeks were a blur of spreadsheets, coffee, and quiet coordination. We formed what Big Mike called the kitchen cabinet. Mia brought legal strategy in a flask. Mrs. Alvarez brought institutional memory and homemade tamales. The new board candidates, Big Mike for president, Mrs. Alvarez for treasurer, ran on transparency and accountability. Vanessa's counter-campaign was a single pathetic photocopied sheet calling me an outside agitator. Meanwhile, her brother's landscaping company suddenly faced questions. Christmas week she tried one last desperate play, showed up at Big Mike's with an envelope of cash, $2,000, to drop out of the election. His wife filmed the entire conversation through the screen door. Bribery on top of everything else. Mia filed it immediately with the Texas Real Estate Commission and the DA. January 10th, the day before the recall election, my property manager called. Tenant at 317 Cypress still hasn't paid. 3 months behind now, $5,400. Want me to file? File it, I said. But hold service of the summons until I say. Timing is everything. January 11th at 4 p.m., exactly 2 hours before polls opened, a sheriff's deputy knocked on 317 Cypress Circle. Pure coincidence, court schedule, beautiful cosmic poetry. Vanessa opened the door in yoga pants and full makeup, expecting maybe a package. Instead, she got served real legal papers. Summons, summary ejection action. Plaintiff, Summit Ridge Holdings LLC. My LLC. Her face went the color of old oatmeal. By 6 p.m., the clubhouse was standing room only. WCNC Austin had a camera in the back after the story leaked. The independent monitor, a retired judge, ran the meeting. Vanessa tried to preside. He shut her down instantly. Voting took 30 minutes, paper ballots, locked box, real democracy. While they counted in the side room, Vanessa couldn't hold it in anymore. She stood, fingers shaking at me. This man is a slumlord. He doesn't care about our community. He just wants profit. I walked to the front. 7 properties, yes. All rented to good people. But here's what Vanessa forgot to mention. I held up the lease. She rents one of those properties from me. 317 Cypress Circle. 14 months. Currently 3 months behind on rent. $5,400. And as of 4 p.m. today, I pulled out the second document. She was served with a real eviction summons. Lawful. Proper. Filed in magistrate court. The room went dead silent, then exploded, gasps, laughter, phones recording like crazy. Vanessa's face turned purple. That's retaliation. It's business, I said calmly. You breached the lease, non-payment, and using the premises for unauthorized HOA business. Every meeting you hosted in your dining room violated the terms. This eviction is textbook. Mia stood. I've reviewed it. Ironclad. Vanessa grabbed her purse, knocked her chair over and ran. Heels clacking, door slamming, mascara already running. Nobody followed her. Not even her book club. The monitor cleared his throat. Results. President. Big Mike 74 votes. Vanessa Hargrove 9. Thunderous applause. First order of business. Rescind every violation from the past year and refund fines. Second. Independent audit and police report for the $66,000 plus embezzlement. Vanessa moved out February 1st before the hearing, leaving the house trashed. Holes in walls, stained carpet, broken appliances. I kept the deposit and sued for the rest. She declared bankruptcy. The audit confirmed everything. Her brother repaid $45,000 to avoid jail. The new board dropped dues 15%, required photo evidence for violations, and turned an empty lot into a community garden. Kids played. Neighbors actually talked. It felt like a neighborhood again instead of a police state with flower beds. I still sit on my porch some mornings, same chair, same coffee. The dogwood trees are blooming. The new basketball hoop 3 houses down isn't a violation anymore. Mrs. Alvarez waves when she walks her dog. Simple things. Normal things. Things that should never have been taken away. So here's the question I want you to answer honestly in the comments. Was I wrong for staying silent, gathering evidence, and hitting her with the same rules she loved to weaponize? Or was Vanessa the real criminal all along? Because from where I'm sitting, the only person who truly broke the covenants was the one who swore to uphold them. Drop your answer below. And if you're fighting your own HOA Karen right now, tell me in the comments. We might just feature your story next because the Karens of the world only win when good people stay quiet. Until then, document everything, know your state laws, and never let the clipboard queens win. See you in the next one. The audit report landed like a second bomb in March. $68,000 siphoned over 3 years, fake landscaping checks, office supplies from HomeGoods that somehow ended up in Vanessa's living room, even a legal retainer paid to her best friend's husband who never did a minute of work. The new board filed everything with the DA. White-collar crime, they said, low priority. But the civil suit stuck. Marcus Hargrove's actual landscaping company had assets. He wrote a check for $45,000 to make it go away. Vanessa got nothing because she had nothing left. Last anyone heard, she moved to Florida, probably already president of some other HOA down there, terrorizing retirees with gun height regulations. Emerald Grove started healing in ways I never expected. Big Mike's first official act was simple. Photographic evidence required for every violation, 30-day cure period, and an actual appeals board with real humans. No more one-woman star chamber. Mrs. Alvarez pushed through the community garden on the empty lot behind the clubhouse. Ribbon cutting in April, 60 residents showed up with shovels and sunscreen. Kids ran through waist-high wildflowers while Big Mike's raised beds waited for tomatoes. The local news ran a follow-up segment. From HOA scandal to model community. I declined to be interviewed. Let the neighborhood take the credit. They earned it. I updated every lease with what I started calling the HOA anti-harassment clause. Any tenant targeted with frivolous violations got free legal help from my attorney, and I covered all appeals. Word spread fast. Other small landlords in the subdivision started copying the language. By June, my properties had waiting lists. One Saturday in May, I was on the porch again when a little girl from one of my rentals, daughter of the single mom nurse, rode her bike up. Mr. Ryan, my mom says thank you for the scholarship fund. The new board had taken the $45,000 recovered from Marcus and created the Emerald Grove Community Fund. college help for neighborhood kids and home repairs for elderly residents. I'd seeded another 10 grand myself. First award went to that girl's older sister. Full ride to UT Engineering. Watching her mom cry happy tears at the ceremony in the clubhouse made every pink notice worth it. The best part? The smell of fresh mulch on Saturday mornings. The sound of kids shooting hoops without looking over their shoulders. Neighbors waving instead of whispering. Simple things that felt revolutionary after 2 years of leopard print tyranny. But the fight taught me something deeper than any SEAL mission ever did. Power in a place like Emerald Grove isn't held by guns or money. It's held by whoever controls the narrative and the paperwork. Vanessa controlled both until someone decided to read the fine print and keep receipts. She thought the rules only applied to everyone else. Turns out the rules applied to everyone, including the woman who wrote the newsletter bragging about upholding standards. I still get messages from all over Texas, people fighting their own Vanessas. Same story, different zip code. Selective enforcement, fake liens, power trips dressed up as community pride. I wrote a free guide last month. Document everything. Know your state statutes, form alliances, use public records. 40,000 downloads already. Maybe it'll save someone else 2 years of pink notices and sleepless nights. Here's what I want you to remember if you're watching this right now and your HOA is making your life hell. Stay calm. Stay factual. Stay relentless. Bullies fold when the spotlight hits them and the receipts are public. And never, ever assume the person smiling with the clipboard is on your side. Sometimes the quiet guy on the porch drinking coffee is the one who owns half the block, including the house the queen bee sleeps in. Now I'm turning it over to you. Was Ryan wrong for playing the long game and using the same system against her? Or was Vanessa the one who turned a neighborhood into her personal fiefdom? Be honest in the comments. If your HOA story is crazier than this one, drop it below. Maybe we'll turn it into the next video. And if this gave you that sweet justice rush you came for, smash subscribe and ring the bell. We've got more HOA horror stories, landlord wins, and small claims court takedowns coming every week. Because the Karens of the world are everywhere, but so are the receipts. Peace. 1 year later, almost to the day, I hosted an open house at 428 Oak Hollow. Casual drop-in 4 to 8 p.m. The smell of chili simmering mixed with Mrs. Alvarez's fresh tamales and Big Mike's cornbread. 30-plus neighbors packed my living room. Kids underfoot, classic rock playing low, laughter bouncing off walls that used to feel like a fortress under siege. Big Mike raised his beer. To Ryan, for having the guts when the rest of us were too scared. The room echoed it back. I felt my throat tighten. To all of us, I said. We took our neighborhood back together and made it better than it ever was. Standing there with warm handshakes and someone's toddler grabbing my pant leg, I realized the fight was never really about my truck or grass height or even the fake eviction. It was about dignity. About the right to live in peace without some self-appointed queen deciding whose American dream was valid. We won. Not just me, every single person who refused to sell, who spoke up, who showed up with signatures and courage. Vanessa's house at 317 Cypress is rented now to a young teacher who coaches Little League. The garden gnome she once measured is still on my porch, 11.4 inches of glorious rebellion. And every time I see a new resident move in, I make sure they get the Real CC and RS plus a quiet heads up about the community fund and the new rules. If you're dealing with an out-of-control HOA right now, remember this. Document everything. Photos, timestamps, emails. You can't fight what you can't prove. Know your state laws cold. Most have record request rules, recall elections, and penalties for bad faith enforcement. Find allies. You're never the only one being targeted. Use public records, tax filings, property deeds, business registrations. They're free and deadly. Stay professional no matter how personal it gets. Bullies want you to explode so they can paint you as the problem. Don't give them the satisfaction. And most important, never make it revenge. Make it justice. Because when the clipboard finally gets turned against the person who loved it most, the entire neighborhood gets to breathe again. So tell me in the comments, was I the villain for staying 10 steps ahead? Or was Vanessa the real criminal who turned neighbor against neighbor for power and profit? Be brutally honest. Drop your own HOA horror story too. The most ridiculous fine you ever got. The violation that still makes you laugh or rage. If you're in the middle of your own battle, say the word, we might just help you write the next comeback chapter. If this story gave you that hahee rush of watching a tyrant fall, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and share it with every friend who's ever gotten a pink notice. Because the HOA Karens are out there, but so are the quiet ones on the porch with the receipts. Until next time, know your rights, keep your coffee hot, and never let the leopard print crowd win. Peace.